Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is meant for class 11th biology students, and we are into the revision mode, and this notes is meant for 19th October 2020. And as we all know that we are revising chapter wise, and this session we are revising chapter number 5, morphology of flowering plants. What do you mean by morphology? Study of external features. Outside features is morphology. Remember, we are not going to talk about the anatomy in this chapter, only morphology. So morphology is the branch of biological science that deals with the study of form. What is the form? Size, color, structure and relative position of various parts of organisms. These are the things that we are going to study. So in what way it is so important? Importance of morphology. Knowledge of morphology is essential for recognition. You should know, you should identify which plant is that. And then identification of groups of plants so that we can classify them. It gives information about the range of variations found in species. What are the variations that are there in a given species? Deficiency and toxicity symptoms are morphological changes that occur in response to shortage or excess of minerals. We can just by saying, if we see a green leaf getting discolored with, let's say, red color, brown color, if you happen to see in your own field, you understand that just by morphology that there is some infection. And there is also continuously there is some shortage of minerals in your soil. So this is how morphology helps us. So parts of flowering plants. So we are starting with the primary root, root system, primary root and secondary roots. Then we are coming to shoot system. In shoot system we have got a main stem. This is the main stem vertically going towards the sky. We have a leaf. You have fruit, you have a flower at the apex, and then in the stem, between the two branches, there is a internode, and at a point where there is a branch or leaf arising, that's called node. So between two nodes, the area is called internode, and there can be buds, vegetative buds. So these are the external features that one can see easily in any flowering plant. All the flowering plants have roots, stem, leaves, flower and fruits. The underground parts of flowering plants are the root system, and the portion above the ground forms the shoot system. So you got two systems, root system and shoot system. One is below the earth, another is above the earth. Okay, now let's understand the root. In dicotyledons, that is two cotyledons, elongation of radical forms the primary roots. So radical becomes root, and this bears lateral roots of several orders called secondary roots and tertiary roots. So there will be, to start with, as the embryo starts germinating, it provides or it produces two parts. One that goes towards the soil, that's radical. One that goes above the soil and towards the sky, that's plumule. Radical becomes root, and the root can have primary roots, secondary roots and tertiary roots. So primary roots along with lateral root, lateral means side roots, form the tap root system. So basically there will be main root, and attached to that main root many lateral hairy roots will be there. Example, mustard, grams. In monocotyledons, primary root is replaced by large number of roots at its base of the stem to constitute fibrous root system. So remember, dicots will have taproot. Dicots, taproot, DT. Monocotyledons, fibrous, MF. So example, monocots, wheat and rice. The roots that arise from other parts of the plants beside the radical are called adventitious roots. Example, Chalikios boys know it very well, banyan tree, maize, grass. The main function of root system are absorption of water and minerals from soil, providing proper anchorage, means support to the plant parts, and storing reserve food materials. Okay, so for emergency sake they have to do it. So reasons of root, there are three basically. The first and foremost is the tip of the root, and the tip of the root will have a cap, topi. The topi is called root cap. This is for protection, all of you know. And the area which is covered by the root cap and a little bit extra above is meristematic activity. Meristematic tissue will be there, and you know the speciality of the meristematic tissue. It is the tissue that grows throughout life. That's why plants grow throughout life. Whereas human beings, we have certain period, at the most 18 years to 21 years we grow. After that our growth ceases. Whereas plants, the plant that you are putting in your houses, just see, in your 7 years of stay in science school only, the plant will overtake you in the height, thanks to meristematic tissue. And just above the meristematic tissue there will be broad cells, elongated cells. That's reason of elongation. The cells might have become tetraangular or rectangle, and some are what we call rhomboid. So the cells lose their shape and go up. And then reason of maturation, the cells become matured. That means differentiation has taken place. Cell differentiation, cell elongation, cell differentiation also. Once a cell differentiation takes place, then we say cells are matured. So in that region of maturity we can see a lot of root hairs. See, the apex root is covered by a thimble-like structure called root cap. It protects the tender apex of root while making way through soil. You know, soil contains a lot of pebbles, stones, and very, very hard. And that hardness is to be broken. And who is breaking it? The tissue, meristematic tissue. So there may be damage. To protect that, the root cap is there. Above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity, having small cells with a dense cytoplasm. The part above the region of meristematic activity is the region of elongation, where cells undergo elongation and enlargement to increase the length of the root. And then finally, the region of maturation contain root hairs that help in absorption of water, minerals, and of course anchorage. Sometimes root undergoes modifications to perform extra duties. So in such a situation, the roots are said to be modified. They modify themselves for these reasons. They have to do storage, store certain nutrients. They have to do nitrogen fixation, aeration, absorb oxygen, and of course anchorage support. So the root of carrot, turnip, adventitious root of sweet potato gets swollen to store food. So a lot of fatty material will be stored in them. Next, prop roots of banyan and stilt root of maize and sugarcane have supporting root coming out from lower nodes of stems. Look at that. Stem will release this and they germinate it, and these will help in taking oxygen, aerial. In Rhizophora, pneumatophores help to get oxygen for respiration as it grows in swampy areas. So you remember this, Rhizophora and pneumatophores. So these are also root modifications. So fleshy taproot, it is divided to three: conical, example carrot; fusiform, example radish; napiform, turnip. Moving ahead, we go to stem. It is the ascending part of axis-bearing branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits. It develops from plumule of the embryo, just now I said. Stem bears nodes. Nodes is the vegetative part at which a branch or a leaf originates, and the space or area present in between two adjacent nodes is an internode. The region of stem where leaves are born are called nodes, as I said, and portion between two nodes are called internodes. The main function of stem is spreading branches bearing leaves, flowers and fruits. It also conducts water and mineral from root to leaves and of course undergo photosynthesis. Some stem perform special functions like storage of food. See, normally storage of food is not the function of the stem. The function of the stem is to bear all this, right? So it is doing extra duty. Then we say stem modification. Sometimes it gives support, it gives protection and vegetative propagation or reproduction also it is doing. Then we say stem is modified. So modification of stems. Underground stem of potato, ginger, sonti, turmeric, haldi are modified to store food. They also act as organ of perenniation under unfavorable conditions. So they can survive. Stem tendrils, you must have seen spring-like structures coming out of the stem. This help in making the plant to climb. Like you must have seen in cucumber, pumpkin, gumbadkai and grapes, draksha. Famous, Bijapur is famous for this, no? You must have seen stem tendrils, spring-like structures coming out of it. Auxiliary buds of stem may modify into woody, straight and pointed thorns, as in citrus and bougainvillea. Okay, in this you must have seen there is auxiliary buds which are modified into thorns, mullu. Plants of arid regions modify their stem to flattened. Stem is flattened like in opentia, fleshy, cylindrical like in euphorbia, having chlorophyll for photosynthesis. Normally, who is doing photosynthesis? It is the leaf having green color. But here in opentia and euphorbia, the stem itself is becoming green and undergoing modification so that it can perform photosynthesis. So underground stem modification, suckers like mint and chrysanthemum, rhizome, ginger, corm, that is colocasia, tuber, potato, and bulb, onion and garlic. All these are stem modifications. So in our next class, we will see the leaf and how important it is, what are the modifications it undergoes and helps the plant. Until then,